Hi everybody, it's Angela. Today we are going to be continuing the Chakra series and moving up to, I'm sitting in an uncomfortable position. I need to sit down more comfortably. We'll be moving up to the fifth chakra, which is in the throat. And so far, just to recap, we've worked with the root, which has to do with being grounded, sacral, which has to do with being creative and having a healthy sense of sexuality, solar plexus, which has to do with our willpower, and then last time we worked with the heart chakra, which has to do with love and forgiveness. So today we start to move even more up into what I would say is the spiritual realm, the self-actualization realm, because the throat has to do with our ability to communicate and to get a message across clearly. And in order to convey your message clearly, it's very difficult to do that if you don't have a strong sense of yourself and your safety and what makes you feel strong and what love feels like, and feel as if you can freely give and receive love. So you're welcome to jump in and do this class if you didn't do the previous 4, if you're feeling like it, but I'd encourage you to check out the previous 4 before you jump into this one. At this point, as my recommendation is, you want to make sure you have the more basic needs met first before starting to move your way up. But that being said, I really like the last 3 chakras that we'll be working on. I mean, I like them all, but the last 3 are just very powerful in their beauty. And I think that when we do have them all aligned, we are just very powerful beings. And so it's just cool to see each one add a layer. So because today's is both focused in the area where, of course, our vocal cords are, so literally has to do with our ability to speak, one thing that I learned as I was studying these for my training is, especially with this particular chakra, it's not enough to just go through poses and open up and create flowing energy through this particular chakra. We want to also activate it. So one of the things we'll be incorporating into this class is a little bit of actual verbalization. So for those of you who are new to yoga, I want to warn you, this might be delving into some things that I know from my own experience. People who are skeptical of yoga get nervous about chanting. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to do a very, very simple chant of Om at the end. It's a fantastic sound. It's almost an onomatopoeia in the way that it feels in your throat. But it's a basic sound that doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't mean it, it means something, but it has a wide possibility of meaning. So it doesn't have to mean one thing. It is a universal chant that activates or connects you with divinity. And that can be any divinity that you recognize and understand, whether it is a specific god or just a sense of higher consciousness or fate or astrology. Whatever speaks to you, it will, at least it is said, it helps connect you with that and is a reverential sound. It's basically a sound. And a lot of times we close out yoga classes like that. So we'll do that today, but for a little longer, so that as you repeat the sound, it will usually starts to sound like humming. There's a vibration happening, and that vibration helps activate this center that's in the throat, because that's where we're making the sound. So that'll be at the end. At the beginning, I am going to take you through, I suppose you could call it a meditation, where we'll be laying down and you will be choosing a mantra or a saying for your practice. Usually when we do that in yoga, I'll tell you just, do it in your head, but you're all doing this at home, so you don't have to. I'm going to encourage you, as you pick something, and I'll walk you through that, say it out loud and keep saying it to yourself over and over again. We'll go through it for a few minutes, and just notice what you experience as you're saying it. So that's something we'll do a little differently. The other thing I wanted you to know is we're going to incorporate a couple of new props, or at least I think that they are new props, even if they're not. I'm going to walk you through them. You'll want to have at least one block nearby. We've used blocks before. The other props that we'll be using today is a blanket. If you have a yoga blanket, it's this fringe style woven blanket, I'd encourage you to grab that. In future classes, when we do restorative and yin, these blankets can be folded up a variety of ways and you can do really cool things with them. But if you don't have a yoga blanket, you can grab any other blanket that you'd like. I'd encourage you to grab a flat one. That's all I'd say. And then the other prop we'll use is, this is a yoga bolster. You can see it's kind of a long tubular pillow. Some yoga bolsters are more flat and rectangular. That would work as well. If you don't have a bolster, these are kind of expensive. If you're new to yoga, it's likely that you won't have one. You may not want to have one, even if you are doing a lot of yoga. But you can use large pillows. You can see how large pillow, especially if you have a body pillow, could work very well. If you have two, even better. Other alternatives are grab some puffier blankets, fold them up into a rectangular shape, and stack a couple on top of each other, and then just have them nearby. So go ahead and set yourself up with whatever you have available. And then what we're going to do is use your bolster or whatever you've chosen, set it on your mat horizontally so that it'll land right about underneath where your knees would be if you're laying down. You can always readjust that. And then take your blanket and fold it up so it makes a rectangle with very short ends and long length. And we're going to use that as a neck pillow. We're going to do a lot of work with the neck today because the back side of the throat it's all the neck. So this will also be a very good class if you are experiencing neck pain, or at least has the potential to be a good class. I would also say though that the neck is a very delicate area. So be careful that it's feeling okay for you. You don't have to do anything, that's always true. So we're gonna come to lay down. By the way, I'm sorry I have to wear my hat today. I'm getting my hair fixed tomorrow and, well, you do the math. Alright, so arrange your neck pillow so that it comfortably braces your neck and allows your chin to be very slightly tucked. So you're not too open so that the neck isn't like cranking back, but you also don't feel like your chin is tucked in toward your chest. And you can see what that does for your voice. Just comfortably resting. We'll do some poses later that open up the throat a little more. That can be good, but it can over time compress the space in the back of the neck, so you're not wanting to rest in that position, at least not right now. Knees are draped over your bolster. Feet are relaxed, hands relaxed. They can be beside you, they can be on your body, wherever you'd like for them to be. I'll take a moment here and think back on what, based on what I've already said of what this energy center represents, what came up for you? Where in your life are you feeling this center at work, or maybe you're feeling it not at work so well? Essentially, we want to figure out what does each of these spaces in the body, what do they mean for us individually? So do a check-in and see what's going on for you. What do you know that you need in this area? We're going to use that information to form our intentions or mantras. I would encourage you, if you're a fan of grammar, we're going to find an adjective or a descriptor, something to describe yourself, like compassionate, friendly, open. Pick something that describes what you want to be. It might be something you already feel you are, or it might be something you want to see more of. And then turn that into an I am statement. So, I am open, I am compassionate, that sort of thing. And I encourage you to try and connect with something that speaks to this energy center. So, I am open might be good. I am heard. I am valued. Or even I am communicating. Particularly powerful one that came up recently is I am speaking. So in the comfort of your own home and the privacy of your own home, be a little brave and start saying that statement out loud. And keep with that. Say it over and over again. If you really want to be brave, press your fingers into your ears and say it 3 times, just 3, only hearing your own voice reverberate. And then release. And begin to stop the verbal repetition of your statement and come back to restfulness, deep breath. Notice what you feel. And as you take your deep breaths and you exhale, make a slight sighing noise, maybe even a little bit of a hum. Feel that in your throat, maybe also in your nose, your nasal passageways as you're breathing. So we get into the top 3 chakras, it becomes necessary to focus a little less on the poses and a little more on what's going on in our heads and our souls and the breath. You may notice we do less movement, more creation in the mind. more than ever, focus in on what you're experiencing. And start to wake up your body, move your fingers and toes. Start to stretch your arms and legs away from each other. And we're going to come to a reclined bound angle pose, using the bolster for support. So the soles of the feet are together, knees are wide, and then you can have your bolster underneath your knees, or I have it underneath my calves. So things are slightly elevated and supported. Bring your hands to your belly and breathe into your hands. Slowly begin to plant your feet, point your knees to the sky, and set your bolster to the side. Keep it nearby. And then bring your feet back to plant, hips width. And take your neck roll. And gently set it to the side as well. We'll do a few bridge poses, and just for safety on the neck, because we put a lot of pressure there, allow it to flatten out a little bit. Rest the back of your head against your mat. Reach your fingertips towards your heels. And as you inhale, lift your hips, pressing into your feet and shoulders. We're going to connect breath and motion together. So exhale, lower your hips back down to the earth. And inhale, lift, lengthen the front of your body. And exhale, lower back down. Again, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. This time, inhale, lift your hips and also sweep your fingertips up and arms come in line with your ears. Full inhale, and then full exhale. Lower your hips down and lower your fingertips back down. Arms back down to the floor. Again, inhale, lift hips, lift arms, slowly. Exhale, lower hips, lower arms. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Again, inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Lower all the way down. Bring your feet wider than hips width. Bring them to the long edges of your mat. And then allow your knees to knock in towards each other for constructive rest. Rest your hands comfortably and take a few breaths here. Bring your feet back to hips width, knees pointing up, and draw one knee in towards your chest. And bring the other knee to meet it. Draw your knees in close towards you and rock from side to side a few times. And then rock off to one side. Use your hands to guide your way up. And make your way to a tabletop position. And then big toes together, knees as wide as you would like. Shift back to child's pose. Lengthen your spine. You can stretch your fingertips forward if you want to. You don't have to find a deep stretch here. It's up to you. If that feels good, stretch your shoulders out. If not, you can cross your forearms and rest your forehead against the backs of your hands. And a few more breaths here. So you can stay right here in child's pose, or begin to bring your knees together. Lift your hips off of your heels and roll onto the crown of your head for a rabbit pose. And then interlace your fingers behind your low back. And on your next inhale, lift your hands up away from your low back any amount. And stretch out the fronts of your shoulders. Deep breaths here. And release. Bring your hips back onto your heels. Drop your forehead to the earth. Reach your hands behind you. Backs of your hands resting against your mat. And slowly lift up and come to a seated position. Easy seat or legs extended in front of you. You can feel free to grab your blanket and sit on it to elevate your hips and stack your spine a little more naturally if you have any back pain. So to start out, just bring your hands to your legs and connect with your breath. I'm going to do a little bit of gentle neck work here, nothing too intense. And take an inhale with your face facing straight forward. You can have eyes open or closed. As you exhale, look over your right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, look over your left shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, drop your right ear to your right shoulder. And keep breathing as you find these stretches. If you'd like to find a deeper stretch here, you can reach up with your right hand and place it against the side of your head. Nothing too heavy, just a very light touch to guide your ear towards your shoulder. And your left hand can reach down towards the earth and then flex your palm to enhance the stretch in the side of your neck. Slowly come back to center and drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Again, you can reach up with your left hand placed against your head. You can reach your right hand down to the earth and flex your palm to increase the length of your stretch. And come back to center. Interlace your fingers in front of you. Bring the tops of your fingers right underneath your chest. So you look like this. Okay. So almost like, I picture like a quintessential small child praying. Got your knuckles underneath your chin. We're going to link breath and motion together and opening and closing of the space in the throat chakra. So find your deep breath. Breathe in and out through the nose if that's comfortable for you. As you inhale, lift your elbows up, keeping your chin supported. Lift your head, opening your throat. As you exhale, close your elbows together, bring your face back to center. You can tuck your chin in slightly if you'd like. As you inhale, awaken and open front of your neck. Exhale, deepen and close. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. Keep that motion and breath connection going a few more times. Begin to still the motion, bring your hands back to your legs. Do some slow rolls with your neck in one direction. If it feels painful to drop your head back, don't drop your head back and instead do semicircles. If you're taking circles, go the opposite way. Back to center. Start to roll forward over your knees. Set your blanket aside. Come to hands and knees position. Then tuck your toes. Lift your hips. Shift your heels back to find a down dog. Feet hips width or wider. Hands shoulders width or wider. Long spine, then lengthen the backs of your legs. And bend one knee and then the other. Or walking out your dog. And then come back to stillness. Focus on the length of your spine and the backs of your legs. And slowly nod your head yes and shake your head no. Bring your head back to stillness. Take an inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, and as you exhale, walk your feet forward to the top of your mat to find a forward fold. And where your hands can be on blocks, or you can drop them to the earth or to your legs. You can bend your knees if you need to, you don't have to. And grab opposite elbows. Take a rock from side to side for ragdoll. Drop your hands back down to the earth, forward fold. As you inhale, bring your hands to your shins or your thighs. Lengthen your spine forward, lift the crown of your head for half lift. As you exhale, fold forward. As you inhale, press through your feet. Slowly rise to standing fingertips. Lift and lengthen to the sky. Press your palms together above your head. And bring your hands to heart center. Your standing mountain pose. Feet under your hips. Toes pointed straight forward. Root through your feet. Take a moment here. Imagine the first 4 energy centers we worked with already. Feeling strength and alignment with each other, and now we're activating the 5th. And close your eyes here. The color associated with today's chakra is a light blue. So maybe you connect with an image of that color. I usually imagine the color of the sky. Take a few breaths here. As you inhale, sweep your fingertips up to the sky. Maybe look up at your hands. As you exhale, take a forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your left foot to the back of your mat and drop your back knee down. You can pad up under your back knee if you need to with your blanket. You can use blocks under your hands if you need, but we won't be here for very long. Just bend into your right knee, bring it over your front ankle. Lengthen your spine. Bring some tension to the inner legs. And as you inhale, reach your fingertips to the sky. And continue to bend into your front knee. Rotate your hip points forward. You can stay here, press your palms together. And then as you inhale, open your heart and maybe drop your head back slightly if it feels okay. Just slightly. Almost more like you're looking up versus dropping your head back. That's probably a safer way to do it. I recommend that way. A couple more breaths here. And frame your front foot with your hands. Tuck your back toes. And step back to a downward facing dog. Couple breaths here. Another opportunity to imagine all 5 of the energy centers we've worked with working together. And we go through the colors, red, orange, yellow, green, and now light blue. And lift your heels and bend your knees. Walk your feet to your hands. And forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, press through your feet, rise up, fingertips reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweep your hands to the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. Drop your back knee down. Pad up underneath it if you need to. Frame your front foot with your hands. Bend into your left knee, bring it over your front ankle. Press through that front foot and your back knee. As you inhale, sweep your fingertips to the sky. And continue to bend into the left knee. Stay here, press your palms together. Open your heart and look up. And breathe here. More inhale here. Exhale, plant your hands. Tuck your back toes. Step to the back of your mat. Downward facing dog. And a couple breaths here. And drop to your knees. Feel free to pad up under your knees if you're having any tension there. Go ahead and do that. We're going to do a few poses on the knees. And come to a kneeling position. Knees directly underneath your hips. I'm going to do a camel pose. If you are someone who's been practicing yoga for a while, you're familiar with camel pose, and you know that there's many ways you can take it to make it very deep. And some of those, for my particular back situation, are not so good for me. So you can feel free to go deeper if you know how to do it at any time. I may not demonstrate it for my own safety. I'm going to demonstrate some gentler versions. If you are unfamiliar with camel, start there. So, supported version. Bring your hands to your low back. Fingertips are pointing down. Elbows are working to point behind you and probably won't point straight back, but we're opening across the collarbones. Gaze is straight forward. And take an inhale, lengthen the top of your body. Then as you exhale, lean back, opening your heart, bringing weight into your hands, and maybe looking up to open the front of the neck. And breathe here. As you inhale, come back up to center. And then bring your hands to your hips. And take a few breaths here. All right, so we'll do that again. And I will show you one deeper version. And you can feel free to take it. It'll be a deeper back bend, deeper shoulder opener as well. Or you can continue to do the supported version we just did. So to go slightly deeper, you'll want to tuck your toes, which right there you may start to notice activation in the sole of the foot. And that may be intense because it's just something we don't do very often. Reach behind with your right hand to touch your right heel, maybe even to grab it, depending on how flexible you are. And then as you inhale, reach your left hand up to the sky. And again, you have the opportunity to look up if that feels okay. On your next inhale, press through your knees. Come back to center, hands to your hips. You can untuck your toes to rest. All right, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. If you did it one side, do the other side. Tuck your toes. Reach behind you with your left hand to grab your left heel. And as you inhale, reach your right hand up, overhead, to the sky. Try to point your shoulders up to the sky. The tendency is going to want to be to point your left shoulder towards your left heel. Create as much openness in the heart and maybe in the throat if it feels okay as you can. And slowly come back up to center. Untuck your toes. Sit your hips back on your heels. Or grab a block and bring it between your heels on any setting, high, medium, or low, and sit back on your block. So to explain, the deepest version of camel pose, make sure that you practice the other versions and that they're working for you to practice it safely, but you grab both heels and then open your heart and roll your shoulders open, holding onto both heels. Some people even untuck their toes. It really brings you far back. So it's a deep heart opener. If you want to pause and practice it, if you would like to, you can. Right, so we're resting here in a kneeling position. Feel free to use the block under your hips. And what we're going to do is take what we've got going on here and offer a few deeper versions. This is a version of hero's pose. So if you'd like to just stay here, you can stay here. Or you can grab your bolster. See if I've got space for this. And bring it behind you. So the short edge is right up against your hips. And plant your hands behind your hips. You can start to see I'm already starting to lean back. And this, again, has to do with flexibility in the fronts of your legs. Also, you need to be very careful with your knees. As I have some knee pain from time to time, I will show you how to do this, but I probably will not stay. And some people absolutely love this pose, so give it a try, see how you feel. Leaning back on your hands, start to lean back to rest your back against your bolster. And if you come back into this pose and you feel like your body just melts into it, then allow yourself to do that. Some people don't use the bolster. If you're really feeling it, you can always set the bolster to the side and just lean all the way back. You also don't have to use the block. You may set your block aside, drop your hips between your heels. There's a lot of unusual rotation going on in joints in the lower body, so if you're feeling like this is painful, A, don't do it, and B, don't worry, it's unusual sensations. You don't have to go into the deepest version to get good things out of it. So I'm going to allow you to choose the version that works for you. And we'll hold here. It's for about a minute longer, not much longer. If you're reclined, press your palms down into your mat and begin to walk your way back up. If you're still sitting on your block, set your block to the side. And we're going to come off of the blanket if it was underneath your knees, set that to the side as well. We're going to make our way onto our backs one more time. And grab a block. Bring your feet to plant, point your knees to the sky. I'm going to get set up like we're going to take another bridge pose, but we're going to take supported bridge, which will be resting on top of the block. So lift your hips, take your block on the low or the medium setting and set it right at your sacrum, flat space, just above your butt. And then rest your sacrum down to keep your hips lifted. The chin is right at that mid space between tucked in and opened up. So we want it at almost a neutral position, looking straight up at the sky. A few more breaths here. Okay, so a couple of options here. You can take a supported shoulder stance by lifting your legs straight up to the sky. You
staying with the supported bridge pose if this causes any pain in your low back. I'm going to offer you one more option. If you are someone who's practiced Pilates before, or if you've been doing yoga for a while, you may be familiar with plat pose. So it's intense for the back of the neck. If you have neck issues, don't go for the plat pose. But it is a good one for activating the throat chakra, so I'll give you the option for it. You're going to press into your shoulders and arms. Lift your legs up and overhead and reach your toes towards the back of your rib or your mat. So your chest is going to come close in towards your chin. Careful not to draw your chin in towards your chest. If you have the flexibility, you can interlace your fingers and reach them towards the front edge of your mat. A couple more breaths here. You're coming from your plow pose. Tighten up your core muscles. Slowly lower your back towards your block. And then come back to your supported bridge pose. And we'll all meet up there. Whew. And then press into your feet, lift your hips, set your block to the side. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Take a few rocks and rolls on the length of your spine. Then slowly make your way up to seated for a moment. So we're going to grab our bolsters. Bring them so they run vertically near the top of your mat. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Range yourself and your bolster so that the edge is right up against your low back. And then slowly lower your way down. Finding a supported fish pose. You can grab a blanket if you'd like and bring it underneath your head to make a pillow. Get yourself into a comfortable position. Feel free to either allow your arms to drape alongside you, or you can bring blocks underneath your hands. That's creating tension in your shoulders and keep your arms supported. And draw your attention as you close your eyes into the space in the throat. So this is where we're going to spend our Shavasana today, as long as that's okay for you. You can keep your feet planted, or for more of a fish pose sensation, which is an opener for the throat chakra, you can extend your legs long. And close your eyes and breathe here. We're not going to quite come into our Shavasana just yet. So now we're going to move into, as promised, a portion where we'll do some verbal recitation of Om. I will do it myself. You may just want to listen. If this is just beyond what you're wanting for this class, you can shut me off and put on something that I would encourage, something with lyrics or sounds that really speak to you, just to connect with the sensation of a voice. So it's up to you. I would also encourage you to join in with me. Om is a very simple sound. It's O-M. And it consists of 3 total sounds. So it's an A, O, and M. So you'll hear all 3 linked together. It's very easy. You can feel free to join in with me or just listen. We'll have a few minutes of that and a few minutes of Shavasana. Om. Rest here. Just a few more minutes. take a deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth audibly, sigh it out. Keep that sensation going for a few inhales and exhales. Deeply inhaling through your nose and exhaling out your mouth. And as you do so, start to move your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles, circle your wrists. Reach your arms up and overhead and stretch your fingertips and toes away from each other. And then draw your knees in towards your chest to give them a big hug. And rock off to one side. Pause. And use your hands to guide your way up to a seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. Since it is a way that many yoga classes are brought to a close, we'll chant one last Om together. And so take a deep inhale, release the exhale. One more inhale. Bring your thumb knuckles to your forehead center. The light in me recognizes, honors, and bows to the light in every single one of you who has joined me in this practice. Namaste. Well, thank you, everybody. I have to say, from my perspective, this is one of my favorite classes I've ever taught. I really enjoyed this, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. Hope it brought you some good things, maybe challenged you a little if this was outside your typical perspective. And if you tried something new today, congratulations for being brave and keeping the solar plexus going. Next class, which I'm hoping to film later this week, will be on the third eye, center of intuition, inner wisdom, inner voice, conscience, that sort of thing. So stay tuned, and I hope I will see you again.